Yeah, that's exactly it. Write it down. All right, hit the record button. How you doing?
Good, dude. Crazy good, actually. First time in I can't remember. Jesus. So what's up with you?
Just trying to get through it all, trying to absorb it, bed it down, and get a framework out, and then find some focus and direction and go.
I'm doing a similar thing as you, but except I'm not learning this stuff. I'm just finding stuff I want to learn and just throwing it in buckets and saying to myself, Jesus Christ, when am I ever going to get a chance to get to this? I got to get better at prioritizing. I came across this really cool thing. I think I sent it to you on the breathology. Anyway, it's this guy that's I don't know. He's a free diver. He's got the Guinness Book of World Records for holding his breath for 22 minutes. Something ridiculous. He's got like so many records he's broken. Read about the Wim Hof method, and I know he does some stuff with breathing and cold exposure and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just love the idea of taking deep breaths. And I do this once. I haven't done it much lately, but I have an app called Apnea Trainer, and it's for divers, I guess. Apnea, I guess, is about holding your breath. I think it's a cool app, and I've always loved to take deep breaths, and it's relaxing, and I guess there's a lot of science behind it now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've not really followed it that much. I saw the Wim Hof method and stop, drop, and breathe method. A couple of my friends have adopted it. One of them's actually got himself certified as a Wim Hof trainer.
It's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, I read his book, the Wim Hof method book. I wasn't entirely convinced by it. I don't know what the merits are. I tried his course out. I got a week or two in, fell off. Lack of discipline, lack of realising any immediate benefits. My immediate gratification wasn't satisfied. I should probably go back to it.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
It just seemed like I was doing it and getting no benefit, or it just seemed like there's actually better things I could be doing with my time than sat here in a room
there you go.
breathing. So,
then fuck it. Then don't do it.
Yeah, yeah, simple as that.
Right? Shit, man. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, you got to do what you like, right? I was thinking about that the other day. Like, I was talking to a friend, and I was trying to map out, like, I told you all the stuff I've been going through about, like, questioning everything, all this shit. So I've been like, okay, so since most of my identity is just a story and all this other stuff, like, and who I am, like, what do I want to do? What do I like? So I started, like, writing things down, and I get this huge list of things that I like or want to do or want to learn or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is too much. How do you fit this all in a day? And then I was putting it together, kind of like just like a brain dump, just to put it out there. And I started putting some stuff in some columns and stuff and trying to organize it. And I'm like, this is never going to happen, dude. Like, you're never going to be able to do all this stuff. And I condensed it a couple times, so I don't know. So I guess it's about really, like, I think some people say take, 1, 2, or 3 top, 3 things you want to accomplish today. And if you did, everything moves the needle, and just do those things. And if you have, maybe have a learning time, like you spend an hour or 2 hours a day, and you just have that bucket for learning, and you just throw whatever you want to throw in there that day. I guess, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems to work the best that way. The way it works for me is to break the day up into kind of 3 segments, so morning, I kind of do like background reading, research. 2, actually progressive things I'm interested in. And then 3, kind of admin and just tidying it all up, doing the bits that need to get done that I put off. That's just the way it seems to work. But that changes as well, because that routine gets old. And it's just, I don't know, the older I get, the more it seems like whatever gets it done. So sometimes, different methodologies, there's the waterfall approach, there's a scrum approach, there's agile, there's pivoting, and it's all different strategies, different times. So sometimes it seems like you need to hold yourself accountable hour by hour. Every hour, write down what you've done.
You have to force it. Like, we shouldn't have to force shit.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you do to get through the horrible stuff. And then when you're onto the pleasurable stuff, you have to actually restrict yourself. Only 12 hours today.
Why are we doing horrible stuff?
Well, that's the mental approach, and it's a matter how you look at it. It's doing the things that you don't want to do, or doing the things that has to get done, things that don't appeal to us.
But why not get someone else to do that then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's perfect solution. Just pay someone else to do it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to work, I don't know. Like, I don't know, this whole thing of forcing things, and I don't know. I go back and forth. I just actually got that David Goggins book. The Navy SEAL guy, the guy that is just just the beast. And I love the guy. I mean, the guy's come through and he's all that. And then part of me, there's half of me that says, man, this guy's fucking awesome and just amazing. And there's part of me that just says, fuck, when does it ever end? Right? You know what I mean? When do you have to, what do you get to prove? Who are you proving shit to? Like, who fucking cares? Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, I get it. I can see both sides. You know, always want to improve and get better. But then I'm thinking, like, you know, who are you doing this for?
I did read something last year, and I can't remember who said it. Probably a few people have said it, but it seems to have come from some Zen Buddhism type thing to say. One can either spend their life in the kind of commercial pursuits of getting amassed a fortune to be able to afford things that one wants to do, or one can practice a lifetime of inner reflection and meditation so that one is happy just being still.
Yeah,
Do
but
the one that's easiest, and they both seem equally difficult.
yeah, they both seem fucking silly. It's just like ridiculous. Like, why does it have to be? It's this extreme polarity, black or white. It's like that's I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I can tell you, like the more and more I just keep fucking peeling back the layers of bullshit, I realize that it's just an illusion. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know. The learning thing is still a thing for me because I really like I want to learn and I really love it. I mean, I've always have, but I'm coming at it from a different place now and been doing some exercises, dude, and things have been kind of shifting for me. You know, I've been thinking of some things that didn't feel good to think about, and I would just keep thinking about it and let the feelings out and all the crazy shit. And then I realize now, like I've been doing this 4 days, twice a day, at least. Maybe this is day 5. I'm not sure. Now on certain things that the first 2 3 days would have like a really big charge. I'm talking like getting super emotional and crazy stuff coming out, right? Like to now when I think about it, there's no charge. Like there's no. I guess it's kind of like doing the Bandler, running the circuit backwards kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. And how has that improved things? How has it moved things along?
It's like
I mean,
ridiculous.
does
Yeah,
it clear any blocks and
yeah,
enable
yeah.
things?
Like
Yeah,
I had some issues around my dad. I never thought about that because my dad never really beat me. I mean, I got hit a couple times. Stuff happened when I was really young. Before the logic circuit is before when we're just the emotional, kids that just feel stuff, and whether it's right or wrong, it's not logic. So some stuff was kept coming up around that, and it was really crazy. And I'll share something with you, which was interesting because yesterday morning I was doing this exercise and something came up, and I remember saying to myself, basically, the young kid. It's kind of like I'm talking to my unconscious, or I'm talking to this young kid, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what it is, but and something came up, and it was like, you don't have to prove anything. And I was like, that's interesting because. So, anyways, long story short, I ended up meeting a friend yesterday, and before that, he sends me a message of a landing page, just a message, and I said something to him like, "Yeah, I think you need more bullets, or whatever. Like whatever, the copy has to be stronger, right?" And then I caught myself, and I said, "I'm sorry. Were you just wanting to show it to me, or did you want feedback on it?"
right.
And I never do that, right? And then I went to see him. We were hanging out, and I guess I helped him out with some stuff, and he gave me this program, which is pretty cool. He starts talking to me about how because he's doing ironically something simple. He's working with his therapist and doing an art for anxiety. And my client has a program that's based on anxiety. And I'm just talking, telling him the stuff I'm doing, and it's the complete opposite of what his therapist teaches him, and it's so bad. His therapist is telling him to just stay busy, to work out, to do this, right? So I asked him some questions, and I said, like, he says, I'm not eating today. I said, oh, you fast? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, are you doing like a intermittent fasting? Like, how long are you fasting for? Are you fasting for days? You doing prolonged fasting? What kind of fasting are you doing? Because obviously, we do fasting, right? Me and you. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and he's like, well, it's kind of like I use food as a reward. And I said, really? How so? And I'm thinking, like, in my core, I'm thinking, this is such a bad idea, dude. This is so bad that it's ridiculous, right? But I don't say anything. I just say, what do you mean as a reward? He's like, well, if I go to the gym and I work out hard and I do my work today, then I reward myself by letting myself eat. And I said, how's that working out for you? He goes, great. I said, okay, cool. And then he tells me that he's just doing all these things and he's just staying busy and he does all these things. And he's basically doesn't, he takes the feelings he has and he suppresses them. He pushes them down, he says, and he just keeps doing stuff. Oh my, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, like, cause he's like, I'm doing the opposite of you. Yeah.
It's giving me the chills already.
Yeah. Right. And it's just like, but here's the crazy thing. Normally I would have said something. I would have said, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and I would have just went off and just, said my thing, right? It's real easy to say you want to help people and say shit like that. And I think that was the story I was telling myself. Like, no, this person's fucked up. I need to help him. It's gonna 6 months from now, he's gonna have a fucking heart attack. And he's gonna blow up, right? You know what I mean? But I didn't have that feeling. In my head, I thought, man, this. I felt really sad. Like I was like, oh, this sucks, man. This is not the way to do things, right? But I didn't feel the urge to tell him. It wasn't about having to try to prove him wrong and this is fucked up. And we're all on our own journey. Even though I did feel something inside that was like, oh, this kind of rubs me the wrong way. So I guess there was judgment there, but I didn't look at it towards him. There was that, and then something else he said, like, the whole thing I had around Apollo, wanting to get Apollo to be resilient and strong, to be able to push through things and be able to deal with life and all this crazy shit. And the mixed message was like, Apollo, you have to do all these things to be lovable, to get daddy's love, right? Which killed me, right? And I told him that story last time we talked, and because it was a huge thing for me. And then he tells me basically this, what he does with his daughter. He tells me yesterday the same shit, that he makes it hard on her, and he does this so she'll be able to deal with life and all this other stuff. And my heart is sad. I've just felt sad because I was like, oh my God, I even told him what I did, but like, you have to be ready to hear that. Like, if my client would have told me those things at the wrong time, I would have been I would think she was just a bitch. What's she talking about? That's fucked up. So I realized that people have to arrive at things on their own time. You know what I mean? And it's not about me. I don't know, not having to prove anything anymore. I don't know that I never realized that that's what it was. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think so, a little bit. I had a little bit of introspection in a similar way. One of the things that I always get hung up on is getting involved in online scraps. And I know you say I shouldn't do it, and I shouldn't, because sometimes you're not always arguing with a rational mind. And that's when it bothers me, because it's the same thing. I want to show people the light, and they won't even enter a dialogue. They'll just copy and paste something off a website, and I'll say, okay, I see the website you've copied and pasted that from, but what do you think about it? And they'll just paste the same thing, saying, there, proves my point. Okay, but that's, again, copy and paste from a website. What do you think about it? I just can't get through to them. There's just they won't even allow any doubt to enter. They just keep reposting the same thing, and it's futile. And I come to the same conclusion. It makes me feel sad, because there's a need for connection. There's a need to move people on, but clearly this person doesn't want to move on. They want to stay in their, to put a judgment on it, fixed mindset. Again, the problem I face is that when you engage with people that, from what we're learning from the nonviolent communication and from Dweck's book, people with fixed mindsets, or people who have grown up, 20, 30 years of using judgmental, evaluative and diagnostic language, is that as soon as you ask them a question or make a statement like, when I heard you say, I had a feeling of, that's a statement of an observation and a statement of inner feeling, but they perceive it as criticism. Well, are you telling me that I shouldn't? It's like, no, I just told you what I observed and told you what I felt. Can you repeat back to me? Are you saying I don't listen? Are you saying I can't understand you? And it's always a huge defensiveness all the time against being criticized or judged. And I think, okay, it's going to take me hours just to open a dialogue with this person. I don't even want to spend that time. I've got other things to do. So all the time I feel sad that it takes so long to even get on the same playing field with, to drag people out of that judgmental language. It's like the cost of doing this is so high. I don't want to pay the price. And that makes me even more sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be you're talking to the wrong people too. I mean, if I'm talking to a sumo wrestler, I want him to be a jockey. What's the chance of that going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a jockey that wants to be a sumo wrestler.
If you want it bad enough, start.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
There's certain things you can't do. I mean, I don't believe that, right? If you're, I mean, like there are exceptions to every rule, right? There's like what Muggsy Bogues is 5'3" and he's in the
yeah, yeah,
NBA, right? But let's get real. Let's never try to teach a pig to fly. It
yeah,
aggravates the pig and it doesn't work or something like that. Whatever the hell it is, right? It's the saying
yeah.
like that. And it's like, yeah, it's. But the
One of
other thing
the
is you have, but there's something probably deeper, John. There's something that
oh, for sure. Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's either like maybe that's the book you just read. It's on justice or whatever.
yeah.
Or so there's that. There's also the need to be right. Maybe he's in there. Maybe the need to prove something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm projecting my shit on you. So,
Yeah.
but there's something that because why would it bother you?
Well,
Because
it
it's not
bothers me.
them.
No, it really does bother me a little bit. I've tried to narrow it down. As far as I can tell, it saddens me to see people repeating things without understanding, clinging on to it, because I think they'd find such a greater gift of self assuredness and their place in the world if they actually thought about it for themselves for a moment. And
Yeah, but maybe they
but
can't. Maybe
yeah,
that's their programming running to protect them. It's a
yeah,
genius thing that happens. You know what I mean? Like how the mind works.
yeah.
It'll make us go through some horrible shit to protect to think it's protecting us.
Well, I mean, some of the analogies that are coming out, it's like comparing a burning brush to the story of evolution. It just doesn't compare. And in the olden days, when we attributed angry gods to volcanoes because we didn't understand plate tectonics, it made an unfamiliar familiar and made a certain feeling of predictability and control because we'd throw in the virgins and the mountain wouldn't rumble for 6 months. So even though it was a non-correlated event, it gave us a sense of control. But now that we understand plate tectonics, at least we understand tectonics to such an extent that we can almost say that earthquakes are unpredictable.
The idea of control is just. I mean, we think we have control now. We think we know now we can control things. We have no control whatsoever.
Yeah, it's
The only,
laughable.
yeah, it's a joke. I think you can control things. I mean, we can barely even control ourselves from
Yeah,
our habits and our patterns and our instincts and stuff like that. That our programming, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's all unconscious stuff. It's like that's the interesting part for me right now because I don't have the same drive I did. I still want to do things, but like I don't have the same. It's kind of like a little worrisome. Like Jesus, is what's going on? Like,
yeah. There's a phrase that I actually read today: "boring profundity,"
oh,
which kind of describes a kind of middle-aged wisdom when you realise the rules of the game, then it's all shit, and it's like, I get it
I,
now.
yeah, I don't know if it's all shit. I think it's actually like a brilliant like masterpiece. It's like I guess it's kind of like I guess in the sense that everything is kind of like bullshit. It's just a story or programming kind of thing. But the good news is, like some people can just feel bad all the time and have all these programs running, unconscious programs, whether it's anxiety or other things going on or crazy stuff, that they don't have to even think about it anymore. It just happens, right? Because it's so the opposite is true too. So when you have the good programs in and the good shit, and then it's the same thing that you don't even have to work at it, and you're just going to feel good more often than not without even doing any work because we just on autopilot, dude.
Yeah, what
You,
book was that in? I think it might have been Dweck or Waitskins. That the secret to creating a habit is to set up context. It's not necessarily the doing of the action, but it's setting up the context so it's actually the path of least resistance.
yeah, I think that was our learning. I think Waitskin's book.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah, it could be. And that struck me as a chord because if it's an effort to go to the gym, then it's either too far away or you're not having pleasure in doing it. You're fighting anxiety with anxiety. It's like that example you gave of your friend is got anxiety, so keep busy then. Well, I need to make lists now of things to keep busy doing. It's just shifted the anxiety. It's not stopped it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really bad, man. Like, he sent me a message that was, ran 4 miles today. Tomorrow it's legs. Then I come back for yoga at 5:30. And I said, yeah, I'm like, yeah, yoga's awesome. I need to make time for it again. I used to love to do yoga. And he goes, another 4 to 6 miles on Thursday and Friday, back to another muscle group. It's what's got me so focused on everything, along with his therapist's anxiety approach. And I'm saying to myself, oh my god, dude, like. And then I couldn't help it, and I just said something about like exercise. I remember exercise can relieve stress, but it's also a stressor for the body. Overtraining is catabolic. I said, I know you know your body, you know you and your body. I just wanted to, plant the seed to make sure that, to make sure that you rest, because go 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 can lead to burnout. It happens to big CEOs. That's all. That's all, brother. I just care about you, right? And he says, stay certain, less about worry, and you will dominate, friend. Like he's giving me advice that I was provided, and it's been transformational. Like he thinks that that's what that's what I'm gonna do. Like that is the opposite of me now, dude. That is such the opposite. I'm not doing that. I'm avoiding that. I just maybe it'll work for him. Maybe he'll be happy the rest of his life that way. But man, I just see something huge blowing out. Like,
Yeah.
uh, it's exhausting. When do you get to stop? You can't.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a bit dirty of a psychoanalyst or therapist to say that, because in 6 months he's just going to change his anxiety routine for another, and the psychiatrist or whatever keeps getting paid. But it's difficult to say because we don't know. Maybe it works for him. Who knows? But I guess that's the key question, isn't it? It comes back to the MVC. Okay, so what need is being served by your anxiety, and can it get met in a different way?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but like, see, the problem with all that shit is when you talk about that, it's at the conscious level. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's like there's no need. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It's not the same part of the brain, and you can't logically. I don't know. Maybe you can, but like for me, these things just come up for me, like out of nowhere, like weird. Like consciously, I can't think of it because consciously, there's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, but then I'll hear something, a memory will get triggered, something will come up, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? That's interesting. If someone talked to me about this stuff like 2 or 3 months ago, like logically, and saying, hey, what's up with this learning and all this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. Do I like to learn? I like to help people. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't realize it was something deeper that I wasn't even aware of. You know what I mean? Like for me, it was it's crazy shit, dude. Like I can't even really put words to it because it's like, what are you talking about? I do things for my wife because I love her, and I didn't realize everything I was doing was from that bullshit from my dad. Like I had to do these things. I even questioned this the other day. I was thinking about, as a kid, I always loved football, and I played football, and I was really good at it, and I just loved it. And I started thinking, man, did I even really like football? Like I'm thinking back when I was really young. My dad used to watch football. He loved football, so then I love football. I want daddy's love or some shit. So then I like football. I play football. I'm good at it. My dad ended up being like an assistant coach. So and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, have I ever done anything on my own? Like, is this just all bullshit?
Ooh.
And then I realized with my wife, right, the way she is, and I'm like, oh my God, like, and then I'm doing things for her because that's what you need to do to get love. This is not conscious, dude. If you ask me this, I'd say, oh, I do nice things for her because I love her. She's my wife, right? But then I realized that, oh my God, I'm doing these things because being me alone isn't enough to get love. You have to do things. You have to learn. You have to be the best. You have to do all this crazy shit. That's so deep that, like, if you would have told me that, I would have said, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm strong. I'm confident. I don't give a fuck what people think. You know what I mean? I'm pretty secure and certain in me. Am I perfect where I want to be? No, but I'm okay with me, right? All these things. But it's just all bullshit. It's all this thing I created this person who I am right now just to protect that little fucking kid, so I wouldn't have to feel like that ever again, and all shit like that. So when you ask these questions about what need and this and that, like that's a logical question, and I don't know if you can get an answer because the people that I think you're talking about have deep shit going on that they're not even conscious of. I don't know if that shit works for that. Maybe it does. Maybe we'll find out. I'm just saying,
it's fascinating to me as well to learn about how to do cross-examination, because it's the information that comes out of the mouth is, like you say, from the conscious part of the mind. I mean, I'm not even convinced there's a conscious and unconscious. I think the barrier between the two is very slippery, and I realise it's a useful fiction to talk about things in that way. It's almost like you've got to ask a series of questions to highlight the incongruity, and suddenly they become aware of it. And it's like the incongruity or the incompatibility or the malalignment between the kind of conscious part of themselves that thinks they know, and then this kind of unconscious part that actually has an opposing part within it. So getting to the realization of the incongruity is part of the process. And like you say, you can't just ask them directly using logic. You have to get them to kind of do that transderivational search on meaning and think to a deeper level. It usually involves a lot of complex equivalences, modal operators of possibility and necessity, and limits, boundaries, causation, generalities, generalizations, and kind of conflicts of belief. And that's kind of the point, that we are all hypocrites. We've all got these different parts of our mind that are in operation at different times. Sometimes it's long-term goals, short-term goals. the context changes, the meaning changes. It suddenly makes one thing okay, whereas yesterday it wasn't. And, so
right.
what are the long-term costs, short-term payoffs, what are the opportunity costs? So it seems like there's all these inner conflicts going on all the time. On one hand, I want to do this. On the other hand, I want to do that. Where do my loyalties lie? What's my value system? What's conflicting with my needs? When do I put other people first? The needs of the many, needs of the one. And one of the things they teach in the NLP is that people can really only operate to the lowest level of incongruence. See this a lot in companies as well, where the kind of values are out of alignment with the goals. And this just leads to confusion. And then kind of a paralysis, because you realise that your own actions, behaviours or value system is not in alignment with the goals. So then you get to a choice point of realigning goals or realigning values, ethics, and belief systems. Pick the one that's easiest. So do you have to realign or install new values and beliefs, or do you have to go about getting your needs met through different ways and realigning different goals? It's those simple questions like, the clues that people give away in the body language, which is, I think, the cues you've got to watch out for. So they'll literally do it in front of you. On the one hand, I want a cookie. On the other hand, I want to lose weight. And literally, they're telling you that there's two parts that are in conflict right there. And they've just done it, and they've demonstrated it, and they even put the palms up. That's got to be an unconscious signal, because you don't consciously say, well, let me put my left hand up and that's where the cookie is, and put my right hand up. And then you start asking questions about, well, okay, tell me about your past, your future, and watch which hands they use to denote past and future. And then you go, okay, well, tell me about good and bad and right and wrong, and see which hands they use, and then see if there's any patterns that they keep using the left hand for cookies, bad, and the past. And if they use the right hand for the future, diet, and good things. Even then there might be incongruences, and these are all unconscious markers that I don't think people are necessarily consciously aware of. So it's packaging all that up, it's watching out for it, and you can spot the incongruencies that arise from that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because that's something that I can pick up with. When I talk to someone, I think we all have the ability to do this. Most people do it. You can just sense something is off with somebody, and you're just picking up on those incongruencies. I think that's really what it
analogical
is.
Markings, when they say certain words when they're sat in a chair and they shift, it's like, ooh, that was a difficult one. What's all that about?
What do you mean?
You'll see it. I've watched a few interviews online, kind of thing, news interviews, when people are asked and they use a certain word and they'll hunch their shoulders as they say the word. It's like, oh, that was a hump to get over. So there's obviously a payload in that they literally had to lift their body up to get over. You'll see the shoulders rise as they say the word.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yo, gosh, that was a hump to get over. So something loaded in there. Or the micro expressions and frowns. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah. I actually met a person, when I worked at Apple. Smart guy, and he actually does that. He breaks people down. Like, he's kind of like a real life Cal Lightman from the Lie to Me show, which is a fucking great show, by the way. I love that show when it was on.
Yeah, it didn't run here in the UK, but it got scrapped after series 1, didn't it? It was a good show, that.
I think it had a couple of seasons. I thought it had like 2 or 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
Tim Roth.
So. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, he's like a real life person, right? So, and the way he looks at you is just interesting, right? And I love it, and I just love talking with him. I'm always real, dude. So it's like I don't have anything to worry about. But I always I love the fact that people can do that and read that, and I don't know how much of it's real, how much of it's But he gave me some examples, like, of some things when someone says a word and they do this thing with their tongue and they're swallowing it down. It means they're suppressing something, this and that, and all this other shit he's telling me. And then look at this, and he's teaching me some stuff. It was pretty cool. He's a cool dude.
I don't like to attribute meaning to it. I just like to find the incongruence, so that if somebody's incongruent, you don't have to actually. It's not really useful for you to know. It's useful for them to know. So only when you drag them to the point where their own incongruence becomes obvious to them, that they look at you like, now what? And then they'll realize that they're at a choice point, whether they want to carry on and try and resolve it, or whether they're like, actually I'm comfortable with this incongruence. And it has to be like a permission thing to go ahead from that point. It's sometimes just getting people to the point where they say, I don't know. is good enough, because they might have a belief that's not served them, that they've been so tight on holding on to. And then just asking them a few questions, then they'll stare off into the distance and just go, I don't know. And right there, that's it. Your job's done, because you've now opened them up to self-discovery, because they've realized that they don't know. And now they can go and find something else or find a different way. But again, you've got to be a permission-based thing. It's not like you can go in and start cracking people's beliefs just for the fun of it.
Well, you can. People can.
Well, yeah,
You can. I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down to ethics and morality. I mean, this is the whole thing, though, isn't it? There's propaganda, there's national jingoism, even marketing and persuasion. It's all changing your beliefs. If we wrap this food and put it in a white packet and stamp healthy on it, you'll buy it, even though it's got more salt and fat in it.
Yeah,
it's just 'cause it's got less sugar.
People. Who's the person that said something about thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few people engage in it. Okay. I didn't think it was Henry Ford, but cool. I close that loop now.
Yeah, that's it. Closing all these loops. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves to do all this shit. I don't know, but there's got to be some balance somewhere, because the alternatives are like, have so much money so that you can do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do whatever, buy your happiness, whatever the fuck that means, or have nothing and just meditate all day long and be happy with nothing. Like, that sound like horrible choices. Like, it doesn't sound like, I saw Dan Pena. I sent you that thing that had his page. I love the video player, by the way. I think that's awesome. And one of the videos, the first couple minutes of the video, I think it was the first video, maybe, he goes into maybe the second video or whatever, because the order was reversed. So whatever the first video was, but it was number 2, I think. So anyways, I was listening to that. 2 minutes in, he's talking about one of his students who's got a deal going, and he's been working his ass off, working 18-hour days, 20-hour days, trying to close this deal, do this stuff, and he got sick, and they had to rush him to the hospital, the emergency room, right, and everything. So he brings his computer and he's doing work there, and like, it's like this noble thing. It's like, you can die after you close the deal, Dan Pena says. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, and Dan Pena's like, his philosophy is, if you want to be a success, you got to do family, you got to sacrifice everything, be willing to. It's like, that's not success to me. Maybe his values, maybe that's success for him, but like, that's why I have a hard time with truth and justice. Like, who's truth? Who's justice? What the fuck? Right? Like, the Dan Pena thing doesn't resonate with me at all. You know what I mean? Like, having a castle and what the fuck? How different is that than if someone has $1 million or even $500,000 but it's happy? You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
Well, I spent far too much time listening to Dan Pena, reading his books. I kind of immersed myself in it, and in a few words, in the Dan Pena ethos, you have done it right if at the end of your life you are nothing but a burned out husk, because if there's anything left when you die, you haven't used it, and it'd be a shame for you to not have used the last bit of energy before you die. So I kind of get what he's saying: live life to the fullest, use it all before you die. But crikey, he takes the pay price to action a bit too seriously for my liking. I mean, this is the thing: how much is enough? How far is it far enough? It turns the world into whatever it takes mentality, and it just doesn't leave any leakage for humanity. I have difficulty with it as well. Also,
yeah, I don't. If you're happy and you want to work, then work. I get it, right? But like, that doesn't appeal to everyone, and it's like, I don't know, man. I have a hard time with putting your values on other people, right? Like, fuck, like, I don't know. If all you want to do is make money, then I think you can make money without being that guy. I think there are a lot of rich people that aren't. You know what I mean? It seems so stressful. It's like everything is just stress. Go, get this done. Fuck, work. It's like people are just living in this fucking constant stress state. That's become normal. Now we call it hustle. It's so fucking stupid. You have that end, and then you have the other end, which is, just be in flow and do the energy. Everything's energy. And it's like, yeah, well, it is, but fuck. Like, is that my only two choices? To be a fucking pussy or be a fucking maniac? Is that really what it is? Like,
yeah, it's something I've not been able to resolve. It seems to me that people on the rich end have either gone through stress or they never felt stress in the first place. They're just a different breed. It just doesn't happen to them. And I don't know whether that's psychological or training or an outlook. What was the other point?
Well, I can tell you one big difference between rich people and poor people. The biggest difference is not the money. It's not what they do for work. It's one thing. What do you think it is?
Mindset, attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Mindset and attitude. Exactly. You take fucking any rich person that's successful that, and you take everything they have away. Everything. You drop them in another country where they don't know people, but at least they speak the same language. Even if they didn't speak the language, I bet you in 6 months, they'd be fucking right back where they were. And it's the same thing. That's why when you take a fucking a mindset person who has a lottery mentality, let's just call it, they win the lottery. In 3 to 5 years, they're worse off than they were before they won the lottery. Why is that? Well, it's not the money. So it's just the mindset. It really is. How does someone blow $200 million? Right? How the fuck do you do that? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's surprisingly easy.
Is it?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so maybe, I don't know. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking like $200 million. Like, here's the crazy thing I realized too. Like, a lot of rich people buy a lot of nice things, right? But the cool thing about rich people that I love is they'll buy like the nice cars, they'll do something like that. And then what happens sometimes is they realize that, fuck, the car doesn't, like they have nothing to prove. I'm rich. I got nothing to prove to you. I don't need to buy a Mercedes. I don't need to buy a BMW. I don't give a fuck. They get the Sam Walton driving a pickup truck. He doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the people that really have money. Like, I read that book, The Millionaire Next Door, and one great quote, I think I said this to you before, is he said that there's a saying in Texas. It says, big hat, no cattle. Where it means like the flashy cars, you don't have any money. You know what I mean? Like, if you have money, you wouldn't buy something stupid like that because, you put into something that's going to make you money, whatever that is, So I don't know.
It's the other thing as well is rich people always seem to buy assets. If they do indulge, it's out of the interest. It's never out of the capital. And most people never get that kind of money together.
Well, that's true. That they don't, like, if they want to buy something, they don't buy the thing. Even if they have the money, they say, okay, I'm going to take, like, say they want something let's say they want a Bentley, that's $300,000 car, right? They're not going to just go buy the Bentley, even if they have $300,000 in the bank. They're going to say, well, let me invest in something that's going to make enough money to buy the Bentley. So
yeah, that's it. They right? do that. Yeah, they create almost an accountancy for it, an extra income stream. Yeah, I want another home, so I need another vehicle. So what's going to generate me $1 million to buy that home?
Yeah, or whatever. Like, the Bentley is $300,000, but the payment's $20,000 a month. Okay, well, what I need to take that $300,000 I would have spent on the Bentley and invest it to make at least more than $20,000 a month, forever though. So once the Bentley's paid, like, fucking, you get that income stream, right? So it's just a different mindset. It's not. I think there's delaying gratification too. I think rich people do that better, because. So I don't know. I really do think I think it's the mindset, the biggest thing.
I was reading in the Francis Bacon biography as well about when he went down to the south of France. He went to Monte Carlo. It says, because Bacon is a fascinating guy, another guy of extremes, and he couldn't paint in Monte Carlo, turns out. He went down there. It says it's a sunlit place for shady people. And he did his best work back in London, right after and during the Blitz.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff. And goes to Monte Carlo. And what I liked about the dude is it's a fascinating insight into the art world for all sorts of other reasons. But he'd hire a flat, rent a flat, and he'd bring his friends over. So he brought a community with him. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. And he says that what he enjoyed so much was watching rich people amuse themselves. He said it's so insightful because, much like what you said, his point is that the richer you got, the more raw, the more honest you were about things, because you didn't have to please people. You didn't have to be beholden to anyone. You just said what you liked, and if something that pissed somebody off, well, that was another great spectator sport of having a row in a casino. He said he used to love it. The lovers' tiffs. He says he used to be crazy. You'd get multimillionaires coming in. They'd line up at the bar. They'd order the drinks, and this 25-year-old barman would start giving them life advice about what to do. And rich multi-billionaire would go, oh yeah, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go and do that. And he said it was just craziness. And he said there was one woman, really rich, and money had no utility to her anymore. So she went up to a 32nd story, whatever, threw a dog out the window just for amusement. And it gave everybody something to talk about for a day.
That's fucking ridiculous, though. That's like psychopath shit, though, right? It's like,
yeah, exactly. And and he says, but it also attracted the con men that would extract huge values to give you amusement. He pretended he'd had this yacht, set you up, make payments, didn't own the boat, and he'd rip people off. And so it attracted the extremes. The super rich, the con men, the scammers, and it was all in there. And he said, it was good to get insight into human behaviour. Go back to London and then kind of paint about it.
Yeah, the thing about money is, I think that if you're a generous person, then being rich and having a lot of money will make you more generous. If you're a fucking nut job, having money and being rich will make you more of a fucking nut job. It's just like an amplifier. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's saying the thing about money is
it's an amplifier, right? So if you're a good person and generous, you're gonna be more. You can be more generous. If you're a fucking nut job, then you're gonna be even crazier, right? So throwing a dog out a window, that's just someone that just has nothing better to do with their life, because their existence is fucking. It's just they're just existing. They have no purpose in life, right?
It tells me they're fucked up on drugs and alcohol is what it tells me.
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah. So why do people use drugs and alcohol? Same reason. It's so interesting, dude. Like, it's the same thing. Like, why do people go? Like my friend going to the gym, working out, do all these things, right? It's the same. It's just masking feelings, pushing shit down. That's why people drink. That's why people, even me. If I ate, emotional eating, all this other bullshit. I mean, I can eat a piece of broccoli with some butter, and it's pretty. I would say, my ignorance is pretty healthy food, I would guess, right? And tastes good. But I immediately would feel a huge state change, like totally relaxation. Like, whoa, like Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess you gotta enjoy food. Do you know what I mean? But there's like a fine line. So, but numbing stuff. That's what drugs do. That's what alcohol does. That's what being busy does. That's what fucking obsessive working out does. That's what obsessive learning did for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't really even learn. You know a lot of shit, dude. I don't really learn that much.
I'm trying to get frameworks in. I don't know where it's all leading to. Again, it is a numbing thing. It's just trying to make sense of things and trying to work out people's motivations. You can't predict it, and it's kind of folly. I mean, I see a lot of things in the AI groups I'm in that they're all trying to make these AI learning box to predict market movements, to clean up on the stock market. It's been the holy grail since stock markets were invented. And the point is that even if you did manage to do it, as soon as you released that bot, other bots would spot it, and then the price would be factored into the market.
Yeah, and the market would just crash from that, because it's like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't even hold up anyway. But the fact of the matter is, who cares? Yeah. Like the only we first of all, obviously we know we cannot control other people. You can't, right? We can only control ourselves. So how other people react, learn, what they do it doesn't matter. It's like, I can tell you one thing that I've learned in the last month or two that's really helped me a lot. Wanting to, obviously my kid, I love my kid. I want to help my kid. I want to teach him and all this stuff. Love my wife, want to do as much as I can to help her. And I realized that I just got to work on me. Like, I'm not trying to help anybody right now. But the crazy thing is, my relationship, since I'm working on my bullshit, my relationship with my kid has gotten better, especially after I stopped trying to push him through things and just love him. And if he wants help, I'll help him. If he doesn't, then it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe the Ayn Rand had something right. I don't know.
Who's that?
Ayn Rand.
Oh, blimey.
I don't know. I never liked her, though, when I was a kid. I read her books, and I was like, oh, this is...
I only came across her a couple of years ago. Controversial figure. I haven't read enough to really get a grip on
some people love it. I don't know, but like, you even if you could force people to do things. You could put a gun to, figuratively speaking, a gun to someone's head to make them do something. Compliance is not the same thing as something.
Change, volunteer.
Yeah.
Doing it with love and compassion. Yeah, I mean, that's some of this stuff in the Justice book is on about that. It highlights the problems of building an army. Should you do it by conscription or by volunteer? And if by volunteer we mean paying them, is it actually a volunteer force when, if we didn't pay them, they'd be on social security and barely affording a living? So is it really a choice or just a lesser of two evils? In which case, how close is that to involuntary servitude anyway? So
Jesus.
all these kind of questions, it's like, at the end of it, you think, fuck, well, what really is voluntary then? It's almost like there's no such thing anymore.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know me, my favorite two words is so what? Like, okay, so what? You want to grow an army? No. You want to, like, what the fuck? Like, oh, god damn it, dude.
That reminded me of another story of Vlad the Impaler.
That's a funny name.
Yeah, well, you know, Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. He he had visions. He had hopes and desires, like we all do, and he wanted to. He knew threats were coming in to his land, so he wanted to build an army, and he knew that he'd need to feed this army. So he had quite a few years foresight. So he recognised that he would have to have the lands farmed properly and stewarded by good hands. So he kind of put the word out, the advert out, that if anybody came to the castle on such a day, he'd give them a parcel of land they could own on the proviso that some of that land would be used to grow food for the army or for, state appropriation, whatever. One person turned up, so he gave them the land, said, well done, thanks very much.
Why didn't only one person show up?
Well, it kind of pissed him off a bit, so he put the word about again that this time he's actually celebrating and he's going to throw a party at the castle and there'll be free food and beer, and if anybody wants to come, they're welcome.
Oh, so and everyone showed up because
everyone showed up
because they believed that they didn't believe the land thing. Is that what it was?
Well, so everyone who showed up got executed.
That's so weird.
His reasoning was that if people could so easily be bought by a meal and a free drink, then when the enemy shows up, they're going to hand over their hard-toiled land so easily, and we don't want these people in our society, so he had them killed.
That's fucking ridiculous. The point of the matter, yeah, that might be somewhat true, but the truth of the matter is they believe free food and stuff. They didn't believe anyone was going to give them land, right?
Maybe
like,
that too.
Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, if I tell you, like, buy my $7 course and you'll make, $20 within the next 2 weeks, like, that's believable. Right? If I say buy my $7 course and you'll be a millionaire next year, no one's going to believe it. Right? $7 and be a millionaire? Like, come on, dude. The logic is they didn't believe someone would give them fucking land. That's probably what happened. That's what I'm thinking. Who's going to fucking give me land? Come over there, someone's going to try to ass rape me.
Yeah, well, perhaps these were in older times.
I guess so.
I mean, that's how the story goes.
No, I know, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we sometimes we latch on to things, and even my thing I just latched onto is maybe not even it. It could be something else. But the fact of the matter is, it's not always so fucking clear cut.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's another thing as well, was about history as well, the context of the time and the social, cultural conventions and ceremonies of the time, and the sophistication of people 500 years ago in terms of the knowledge base and superstitions it's almost unrelatable nowadays.
Yeah, but the point, I think the point is this could be more than one thing. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I thought it was a funny story. Free food, everyone turns up killed.
That's funny. It makes me think of my friend. He had an idea for a band back in the day called Free Beer. So when they announced that at the club, like, we used to have some clubs, like one of them was called, like, the Strand, right? So it'd be like, tonight at the Strand, free beer. Well, everyone would show up. Everyone would show up to see the concert. And I was like, dude, that is fucking awesome. All right, brother, I'm going to go, though. But yeah, always great talking to you, man.
Yeah, let's do another one in a couple of days, because there's lots of